So I do want to discuss the timeline because April 2nd, that's when Liberation Day was, as President Trump described it. He unveiled his tariff plan. April 9th, he largely paused the reciprocal tariffs. There's still that baseline 10% on most nations, and he has since ratcheted up the trade war with China. You filed the lawsuit earlier this week. So can you discuss where that lawsuit is now and what are the next steps?
The lawsuit is before the Court of International Trade. Within the next few days, we will file a motion for remedies. We are going to most likely seek a preliminary injunction, which would prevent the tariffs from being implemented while the case continues. We might also file for a temporary restraining order, which would impose that constraint even faster. It's obviously will be up to the court to determine whether they do that or not. We think as a matter of text, in history and the meaning of the Constitution, we have an open and check case. It's very strong. Obviously, they might be able to sort of try to get the courts to ignore the text and say, well, you should defer to the executive anyway. But we hope to persuade the court that that would be a very dangerous path. It would be enormous and harmful concentration of power that's totally at odds with the text of the Constitution and of the law. And would create lots of practical problems, such as that one man can start a trade war with any country at any time, whenever he feels like, which is totally contrary to what the founding fathers wanted in a separation of power system, and also would be extremely dangerous to the U.S. and world economies. So it's possible that if we're successful, we would be able to get a judicial ruling that would block implementation of these tariffs quickly, but it's also possible that there will be many months before there is a complete resolution to the case. I won't lie to you about that.
Let's talk about that a little more because at Forbes, we've talked to small businesses that these tariffs will impact and the impacts will be devastating. You're representing a couple of companies where they're saying these tariffs will absolutely devastate our business. If you file the preliminary... Five, yes. If you file the preliminary injunction, would that immediately stop the tariffs? What does the timeline look there? When would that take effect?
A lot depends on the discretion of the court. So people listening, I cannot promise you that we're going to get you immediate relief tomorrow. We would like to do it as fast as possible, but obviously it's in the hands of the court rather than in my hands or that of our clients. But we will seek a preliminary injunction and possibly a temporary restraining order. If we are successful, one or both could be issued within the next few weeks even, or even sooner than that. But obviously we can't be certain ahead of time that we will be. Also, there might be a question about sort of what's the scope of the injunction. We would seek a so-called nationwide injunction that would shut down the entire system of Liberation Day tariffs. But it's possible that a court could decide to grant a more limited injunction that's more focused on particular industries or trade with particular countries and the like. We think we have good reasons why the injunction should be universal in scope and not just limited in that way. But courts do have considerable discretion in how they grant injunctions and what their scope is.